So it's been a slow start to our Pacific crossing. I left Panama and started with some pretty good wind that quickly ended up dying down. So progress has been really slow, but part of that is good given that there have been lots of reports of logs and other big pieces of trash in the ocean, which we need to be careful to avoid. So part of the goal is to go slowly enough that should we hit one of them, that nothing super major damages the boat. We're definitely enjoying having some wind again to finally sail after almost 24 hours straight of motoring with the wind only being about 2 to 4 knots. So sailing's great, but unfortunately we found ourselves practically surrounded by squalls, like that giant black hole that you just saw earlier is a squall that's headed pretty much directly for us, which means rain, as you can see, what made it all completely dark and blurry, as well as lots and lots of wind. So unfortunately, while having the Jenniker is nice right now, we're gonna have to end up putting it away before the wind gets too strong, because that could risk tearing it open and causing really bad things to happen. For those of you who watch some of my other videos, you might know that a full moon at night on a passage is one of my favorite things. It just makes it so easy to see everything that's going around. You can see the water just for miles. You can see all the clouds. Of course, you can also see what's going on with the boat, trimming the sails. It just makes life a lot easier than when there's no moon and it's so pitch dark you can't even see the front of the boat. Unfortunately now though, we're back to motoring. Wind died again, and so hopefully we'll pick it back up here in a bit, but for the time being it's slow going. That slow morning earlier finally turned back on, and we are absolutely cruising. We're about 2 degrees north of the equator and about 300 miles away from the Galapagos. And these are really just the perfect weather conditions. Full main, full jib, just enough wind that we don't have to reef, and the going is just fast, even with a head current. It's hardly the afternoon and today's already been an amazing day. The first start of our passage, mostly cloudy, but today finally the sun's peeking out through the clouds, and although things are hotter, it's definitely just nice to finally get some sun again. And on top of that, I caught my first ever blue marlin. It was a super hard fight though. It took a good 45 minutes to get him in. So honestly, today's just really hard to beat so far.
Yeah, definitely bouncier than I thought it would be, given how smooth it felt halfway up.
So today is Monday, day 6 of our Trans-Pacific adventure, and we're getting close to the equator. We're about 30 miles off, so ideally we'll cross into the southern hemisphere, into the southern Pacific Ocean here later today. Unfortunately though, we've run into a problem. It first started coming up a day or two ago that our wind instrument at the top of the mast, all the way up there, is kind of getting stuck, like the bearing is wearing out, and so it's giving us really, really wacky readings, which is causing the autopilot to not really know how to steer and causing us to just turn these crazy angles all of a sudden because it thinks the wind shifted like 100 degrees and now it thinks there's zero wind and it's just throwing everything off, which has turned into kind of a problem. So I don't know if you can kind of see there, but every single time you have the straight line, which is the wind direction, but then it keeps going off to one extreme of the graph, and that's when the wind instrument, the anemometer, stops working for a few seconds, or maybe 10 or 20 seconds, which throws everything off, which then the boat reacts based off of this wind, except the reading's wrong. So unfortunately it's not a great issue to have. So although we do have the spare instrument and even a spare bearing, that means we have to manage to go all the way to the top of the mast to do the swap, which out here in the ocean in the waves is not very easy. It's kind of a lot to ask for. So thankfully, our saving grace is that the Galapagos are only about 140 miles away, which means we could be there tomorrow. But the unfortunate thing is, given it's the Galapagos, it is a huge deal, and all of this, it's a huge process to be able to enter the Galapagos. Like, you need to get an agent, you need to have your boat fumigated, clean the bottom before you enter Galapagos waters. Once you arrive, officials come to your boat and inspect your boat and things like that, even for an emergency stop. So we're still trying to figure out options on how to get this repair in, but unfortunately it's not as simple as one might hope.
Yeah, perfect. All right, here we go. So far so good. Wow, what a beautiful view. I've always dreamed of doing this. I mean, you really couldn't ask for better conditions. A little bit more. Okay, stop. Alrighty. Doing this blind is definitely not the easiest, but oh, you guys can maybe kind of see. So this is coming off of the unit. The cable coming off of the unit is right there. Okay, it's installed. Okay, wow. Back on solid ground.
Repair successful. After an arduous climb up the mast, things are smooth, but definitely once you get to the top, it still rocks you. Thankfully, got the sensor swapped out and things are back to normal, thankfully. So nice to finally enjoy our first official sunset of the trip. It's night number 6, I believe, and every single night it's been cloudy, so there hasn't really been any sort of sunset, but the one tonight definitely made up for it. You could see the sun super clearly just set slowly below the water, below the horizon, and now just a beautiful, beautiful golden sky. It's definitely a highlight every day that we get one this pretty. We officially made it across the equator. Went from the northern hemisphere to now the southern hemisphere. We went from it being spring to now it being fall. A year ago, almost exactly, I did my first equator crossing from south to north, going from the Marquesas to Hawaii, which made me from a polywog to a shellback. Now I'm crossing the equator exactly a year later, going from north to south, making me a golden shellback. So now I've crossed both directions. Reeling in that blue marlin, huh?
Seems so.
A lot of work. He probably stripped half a reel. Probably literally like a 600, 700 yard run. Slowed the boat down, but it's still gonna be a while.
Oh my God.
We finally said goodbye to the last of the Galapagos Islands, turned the mark, and now we're headed straight for the Marquesas. Today so far has just been an absolute beautiful, amazing, fast, easy day. We have a perfect amount of wind from just about the beam a little behind us, meaning it's our fastest point of sail, and we're just cruising along. The last 5 hours we've gone 50 miles and we're on track for a 220 to 230 mile day. Unfortunately, yesterday ended up being a little too hectic of a day for me to really have much to show for it, except for a couple of these clips that you saw. Mid-afternoon, as I was on my off-watch nap, one of our fishing reels just absolutely started screaming, line just peeling out of it, and it turned out to be a second blue marlin, literally about twice the size of the very first one. It turned into a good hour-and-a-half fight until he finally broke off right by the boat, got tangled up in some hardware in the transom. So that was my hectic day yesterday. So we had a bit of a buoy problem a few days ago for a couple nights where we just could not get them off. And there it was 3 or 4 of them, and now we have 10. Decided to hitchhike all the way to the Marquesas, I guess. We were really secretly hoping that they were gonna get off at the Galapagos. That could have been an okay deal, you know. It'd be nice to get to the Galapagos, get off, but looks like they're here for the long run, so. Some good news to share with my friend Bert here, the Galapagos Seagull. We have sailed 160 miles today and it's only 5 p.m. That's an average of almost 9.5 knots held the entire day. Looks like Bert got himself a friend. Guess we'll have to call him Ernie. Bird update, got some real turf wars going on right now. A few of the boobies are just super mean to each other. Don't like when more come. We are up to about 13 now on the boat. Just keeps going up. My guess is it's gonna keep going up the rest of the night, but there are 2 white boobies at the bow. They're just fighting it off. It's always nice having an excuse for a nice Jenica run. Wind lightened up a bunch compared to yesterday, but we're still going almost just as fast. Just means we're able to carry more sail area. And speaking of fast, yesterday, I guess it was overlapped a little yesterday into today, we hit our best 24 hours yet at an amazing 236 miles. So yeah, pretty great. so apologies for not getting a whole lot of it, but yesterday was the rainiest day we've had in a super long time. It basically rained most of the day and about half of the night, which was great because being about halfway in, about 12 days, we could really use kind of a rinse, wash of the boat. So that was really nice, honestly. And I don't mind the rain. It's a little less comfortable. It gets humid, and especially things were super shifty yesterday because we kind of stayed with a kind of a storm system, and so that meant the wind was just all over the place, constantly shifting, having a ton of wind, and then the wind dying, having to start the engines. So having to kind of get out in the rain to deal with all that, a little less than ideal, but still a pretty decent day. I'm not sure if it's the sleep deprivation that maybe caught up to me finally, or maybe I ate something, but last night was pretty feverish for me, just super uncomfortable, kind of achy. I felt freezing cold trying to sleep, but yet I was also like really hot and sweaty. So I'm not really sure what happened. Kind of went away in the morning. Today's been a little off still, but finally coming back from that, and then finally, after almost 2 weeks of not having very much to show, we caught 2 absolutely massive yellowfin tuna late afternoon today, about 50 pounds each. So that is a huge win in my book, and hopefully things will start looking better starting tomorrow. It's always nice to see the sun starting to peek out in the morning after a long night, but it's been an easy night, so it's been really peaceful just sitting out here and just enjoying it all, soaking it all up. One of the special moments every day. Well, it's been a pretty good day today. It's actually halfway day. So now we're on the second half of the trip, and I'm optimistically saying we have 10 more days. Might be more like 11, but funnily enough, we've done 1,000 miles in the last 5 days, which is kind of a big milestone for us. We hit our record day of 236 miles. And then we had a slow day, which was still about 170. So 1,000 total miles in 5 days is pretty great. If we can keep this up, then we'll be there in no time. It's been a relatively peaceful 4 or 5 days here on board Stardust, just chugging the miles down. At this point here, we're about exactly 4 days away, so we'll see how that happens. But we had a little bit change of plans. We're going to Ua Huka first, given that the original weather route had us arriving in Taiohae late Friday night, and we figured we could stop in Ua Huka. It's about 30 miles closer, which means we could arrive Friday during the day, get to see another island, and then a couple days later make the hop over to Taiohae. So that's the plan as of right now, and otherwise just really enjoying these spinnaker runs. It's just easy, pretty fast. Waves have definitely built up compared to the first 2/3 of the trip, but nothing too crazy. I'm just watching a giant school of flying fish just go absolutely crazy, jumping out of the water. Fishing's slowed way down after that big 3¼ hour fight with the tuna. It's Tuesday. We arrive to Ua Huka in under 3 days at this point, and I'm just enjoying my evening watch here. It's a little after 7 p.m. The sun set a little bit ago, and it's just beautiful having the stars above and still a little bit of that golden sunset on the horizon, and enjoying some nice surfing to 13 knots, even reefed down for the night. So it's a really pleasant, breezy, cool evening.
It's 3 a.m. and my day's just starting, so why don't you come with me, sit my night watch?
So this is the other half of the month where things are just beautiful at night. You have one half, it's a full moon. You can see absolutely everything around you. You can see the sails, you know, you can trim, hardly need a flashlight. I really enjoy that. But it's true that it's really hard to pass up the opportunity to just see the night sky completely full of stars with no moon to kind of drown out the light from the stars. Tonight might literally be the best, most beautiful night that I've seen yet on the boat. I mean, I can see the Milky Way so bright, stretching 180 degrees across the sky from horizon to horizon, which is something that's pretty rare to be able to see it so well. And I guess just to take some time to enjoy the beauty of space. Night watches tend to be super quiet for me. I don't do a whole lot. Just kind of sit around, listen to music, and just kind of let the night go by. I'm on from 3 to 6 in the morning, and then I go back to bed for a couple more hours of sleep to finish the night. But yeah, it's usually pretty quiet in the night, which is not anything I'm ever gonna complain about. Just like that, it's almost sunrise, which means that for me, I get a little bit more sleep. Now, because we're going west constantly, that means that every single day the sun rises and sets about 12 to 15 minutes later than the day before. So that means that every 4 to 5 days we set the clock back an hour. So yesterday we just turned back the clock, which is why the sun is rising now so early. I will say once every 4 or 5 days it is nice to be able to stay up and just watch it slowly get day.
Now I wonder what you think when you see me in a magazine. From time to time, I go
That's pretty much it. It's the last day. Not just the last day, we're in our last hours of this big, huge journey. Getting up to almost 4,000 miles here. And Ua Huka is clearly outlined in front of us, just peeking out of the haze. So it kind of feels unreal. It's been so long. It also feels like it's been very short at the same time, just in this inexplicable way. And as excited as I am to finally be here, to kind of be done, to get a full night's sleep, it's a little sad to see the end of the journey.
Dear Marie, tell me, do you still believe?
So our journey slowly comes to an end. Behind me, Ua Huka, first island of French Polynesia. We'll stay for a couple more days just to kind of recover from the passage, and then we'll head on to Taiohae, where we'll spend a little more time exploring everything that it has to offer.
Yeah, I got that dream, but I guess I got away from